This is Abnormal Entertainment.
2, 3, 4.
Walked into the tunnel just to find the light. Hunted for old demons, looking for a fight. Looked up at the stars, seemed to go forever. There must be a way, it all fits together. Fell into the quicksand, held on to the vines. Never could quite color, stay within the lines. Feels like I have wings, I can fly wherever. This is just a way, it all fits together. Finally saw the world through rose-colored glasses. Gonna share my journey to small and large masses. Give up on my life, no sir, me never. This is how I put it together. This is how I put it together. This is how I put it together.
Hey everybody, this is Daniel Garza and welcome to another episode of Put It Together. I'd like to start as usual thanking my producer, Mr. Kevin Morris, for all his help and support. Thank you, sir. Go check us out at normalentertainment.com where you can find all the shows on the network. Check us out. You'll get, it's changed so much over the last couple of years, but go check it out and follow me on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube where you can get all the information on what I'm working on, and I'll give you some more info at the end of the show. Today, I'm excited. Adam Richmond, how you doing, sir?
Good, buddy. How you doing?
Good.
You talk fast.
I do.
Yeah, you start fast, talk. Okay, gotta go. And well, I think I talk fast.
Well, the intro has to go fast because I want to make sure that we get to the meat of the story.
Right. Cool.
People have heard this intro for 7 years now.
Oh, okay.
So after 200 and some episodes, they're like...
Took you 200 episodes to get to me?
you, yes.
Come on,
I wasn't
Daniel.
good enough for you. I wasn't good enough for you.
Okay.
I was like, how...
That's a good way to look at it.
How good do I have to be for Adam? And every time I saw your show, I was intimidated. I was like, is this going to be like a sister's wife situation? Are there other podcasters after you? How are you doing, sir?
I'm good, man. I'm good. Thanks for having me on the show.
Thank you for welcoming me to your house.
Yeah, you were in my apartment. The glamorous apartment in West Hollywood, still on rent control. Thank you.
To let people know, for folks that have been following me along, know that in the last year or so, I got really interested in stand-up comedy.
Okay.
You and I didn't have a chance to talk, but I'm a cancer survivor.
Oh, wow.
So 3 years ago in 2015 when I was diagnosed and...
I dated cancer, so I survived that too.
Oh,
so,
yeah.
Hey, is that not the same thing?
No, totally. We'll pray afterwards.
Crazy.
We'll pray afterwards. So in the end of 15, when I was done with everything, I promised myself that I was going to do all the shit that I've always wanted to do, no matter how fearful I was at it.
Right.
And one of them was stand-up comedy. So on November 3rd, and I'll always remember this date, November 3rd, in the small room at the Ice House in Pasadena, I did my stand-up debut.
This past November?
This past November,
oh,
yeah.
Wow.
So Matt Moore and Corey Craig are my godfathers. They're the ones that launched me out there. So
how was it?
It was freaking scary.
Yeah.
But I had on my favorite I Love Tacos t-shirt, so that was superpowers right there.
Okay.
I did well. I think I did well. I mean,
right.
I did what I know. I did cancer jokes because who doesn't like a good...
Yeah, I mean, it's not a natural thing to do, but
no.
you got to start somewhere.
And I had anal cancer, so I started right at the bottom.
Right.
And then moved my way up. And then I talked about Latina women in church. Who doesn't know about Latina women in church? I mean, if you've dated Latina women, you know.
Yeah.
And it was awesome. So that kind of, because I talked about a couple of things that were really, not dark in my life, but kind of like things that I normally don't talk about, I came to realize about me and the fellow people in my class, my fellow comedians, that there is this really cool place that we come from in comedy. And I guess I can include myself humbly in that list. So now I have this thing for comedians. I want to know how they put it together.
Understand how it works?
Yeah.
Jeez.
But, so I followed you and we were, in the pre-interview, we were talking, you were on, Last Comic Standing.
Was on Last Comic Standing?
Which is probably the first time that I, like,
been like 9 years,
Got
I
your
think,
name.
since then. 9 years since the last conversation. Been on Carson Daly a couple times since then. Last call with Carson Daly, which was great.
And then we were watching TV at home, and you popped up on some rerun or something.
Okay.
And I was like, oh, there's that guy. I'm like, and me and my boyfriend were like, oh, that's that guy. He's like, yeah. I'm like, who is he? Oh, yeah, Adam Richmond. Okay. I told my boyfriend Christian, I'm like, I'm going to get him on my show.
I like reruns of myself when they bring me on.
It's always cool. I was like, oh my God, he was so young.
Well, I want more money. So put me on all the time. I think I should be on every show all the time, every night.
I'm going to start a hashtag, more Adam Richmond.
Yeah. Well, have you heard my joke about how I go, cause in today's society, I have to apologize because I'm a white, heterosexual, educated, not disgustingly ugly male. And you go, I know, top of the food chain. If I was a fat Asian lesbian in a wheelchair, I'd be so fucking famous by now.
But you know, everything you said in the beginning, for a gay Mexican man, that's like a green card. So, just perfect.
Yeah. Listen, I'm okay with being who you are, but I just don't think it has to be types. Like, when you talk about comedy, I just want it to be, if someone's good, you play. Like, works out like sports. I'm okay with people starting and working towards it. I just think it's interesting to be like, everything else is like merit-based. You work hard. It should mean something, you know, instead of just having types, you know what I mean? Like needing a type and then kind of reverse engineering comedy based on that.
Yeah. And that's why, like, we'll get into your story, I'm sorry in a minute, but I've seen several, not a lot, Latino comics on stage. And there's a great story that they tell, but most of them are straight Latinos. And they have
most of the stories is, when we were younger, we were so poor. Me and my brothers did that they share a toothbrush. Like first I used it and she used it and he used it.
And we were not rich by all means, but the moment that my parents realized that I was gay, there was a whole new world for us, especially being Catholic and conservative. So I'm hoping to fill in that little niche if I may. So
okay. No, listen, I think hopefully you're getting what I'm saying. There's room for everybody. The most important thing is just be funny, you know? Just be funny. Nobody cares that you're Latino and gay and Catholic on stage if you're not going to be funny.
Right.
You know, they did that whole thing in that movie Comedian when they talked about like Jack Nicholson doing comedy. It's like, oh, that's great. It's Jack Nicholson. Yeah, it's awesome. And then after a minute, if he's not telling jokes, like, get off the stage, Jack.
We love you.
We don't really care. You still have a job to do, you know? It's like you can bring the guy, hey, Oprah Winfrey's going to play basketball. All right, she sucks at basketball. Get her off the court.
We need points.
Yeah, we need guys to score.
So, but anyway, that's how I finally like stalked you a little while and be like, hey, you want to be on my show?
Oh, cool.
Hey,
I like being stalked.
If you heard tappings on your window, it was all me.
Listen, I am in West Hollywood, so you wouldn't be the first gay guy tapping on my window.
But I was sober. I was like, come on, let me in.
Oh, that's even worse. I'll just send you out some shots before then you'll like pass out and then go away.
So, well, let's get started.
All right, cool. I'm in.
Adam Richmond, tell us how you put it together.
I put it together. You mean like how I started it all? I just kind of knew in college at some point. I was in school and most people were trying to be, you know, doctors and lawyers and professionals. And at some point I knew I didn't want to do that. So it started with almost like reverse engineering myself about what I didn't want to do and then figure out what I did want to do. And I knew that I was always good at public speaking and I always was funny. I was like the obnoxious kid in the back of the class. And I was like, oh, how can I monetize this? And I used to watch TV commercials and be like, someone got paid for that?
Right.
Someone did that and they got paid because that's the easiest thing I've ever seen. Like, what do? You do this on a beer commercial? Woo! Yeah! All right! High five! You know? And that was like half the commercials. So I was like, I mean, if people making good money off that, I want to do that. And then if you really want to get into it, I was very into music. I was traveling around. I was in college and I was following the Grateful Dead. I don't know if you know much about the Grateful Dead.
I've heard them. I don't know much about them.
Largest grossing, longest touring band in American history. I mean, they're still touring. Dead and Company now with John Mayer, but it used to be Jerry Garcia. You know, he passed away in the 90s, but you know, yeah, it was in the 90s, but they were like part of the hippie revolution in the 60s and 70s. I almost got them at the end, and I thought if they were that good when I saw them, I couldn't imagine if they were any better. But I just kind of got into them and the message, and I was doing some drugs too, but good drugs, I tripped out on some Grateful Dead shows when I was, 20, 21.
Who
22.
wasn't at the Grateful Dead show?
Right. But I got something, but I got a message from them. Like I got, and it was kind of just there, at some point watching the crowd, watching the connection between the band and the crowd and thinking to myself, well, why can't I do that, in life? Like, I was in school. I knew I didn't really want to continue, and I was trying to figure out what career I was going to do. And then I was like, well, if they're doing that, well, why can't I do that? And my answer was, I don't have any musical talent. So that's the first question. So I was like, you know what? I am, loud, obnoxious, and looking to find a place to,
Use that?
put my creativity. Yeah. Like to outlet it, outlet my creativity. I'm looking for an outlet. And, I just thought, you know what? I'm going to become a comedian. And I remember telling people during the show, tripping out, that I was going to become a comedian.
Really?
And then they were like, okay, sure. And then, 20 years later, I'm a comedian. So I just started thinking about it then and doing it and putting jokes in it. I knew I was going to do an amateur night. So that summer, I went and signed up for an amateur night and prepared some jokes. And then I knew at that point, if I was going to do it, I have to do it seriously. So I was going back to school for a final year, and I knew I was going to get into it after it. And it was just like, if you're going to do something, you got to commit to it and do it and learn it and study it. And I did that at the beginning, which was important when I started. It was important to be good. It was like, that was the first lesson. Be good at comedy, and then eventually jobs will come to you. So I also ended up doing some commercials, and literally got like a TV commercial where the first one was just like, woo, yeah, and it was like, and I got paid really well. It was a Lotto 649 commercial in Toronto.
What was it for?
For the lottery, like the local lottery.
Oh, lottery.
Yeah,
Okay.
so there it was called Lotto 649. It was like 6 numbers out of 49 numbers. And then I chose that. No, you don't choose. And then I got that commercial. And then that kind of shut my parents up, because all of a sudden their parents, people calling, hey, your son's on TV. It's so cool.
Isn't that the rest, though?
And then I was doing some comedy, and I realized if I'm going to do this right, I got to commit to doing it. And I did, and started eventually getting gigs, and eventually got good, and then blah, blah, blah. Cut to 20 years later, I'm in Hollywood. I live as a comedian. I tour around the world. I've been around Canada, United States, South Africa, Australia, China, Japan, Korea, all to do stand-up. And honestly, the way I feel on stage is very euphoric, and it's the best thing I've ever done. So it's almost like its own drug. So I don't do that. I did that, in my early 20s or late teens, and don't do that anymore. But it inspired me. So the way I feel on stage is like a euphoric drug. So it's the same way I felt at that Grateful Dead concert. Only now it's like real, and it's my own art. And that's the best part of the business.
Well, I want to go back, because you talked about, from the beginning, it was, I need to be prepared and I need to be good. Now, I'm going to...
Which isn't thought about anymore. I just want you to know. That's what I feel the difference is between now and then.
Right.
Everybody's all about me, and what can I say about me, and look about me, and nobody cares. It's like, just be funny, be amazing, be entertaining. When bands write songs, all their songs aren't about them. It's about something that we can all relate to.
Right.
So I kind of relate to that. Like, just do music. So I look at my comedy like music, like a good musical set.
Well, I was going to ask you that idea of being good and being prepared, being there at the concert and going, okay, if I'm going to do this, I'm going to do it right. Where did that come from?
I guess I just saw that that's what the band was doing. They can't just go up and improvise everything. They got to be prepared. And then I saw the difference between good comedians and bad comedians. The ones that had everything. I don't like when someone's up there and they're like, what else should we talk about? I don't mind doing a little improv. Like, I do improv when a joke doesn't go my way, or I want to talk about it or make fun of the fact something didn't go my way. And then, you improv on that moment. But I don't go up there going, I'm just going to do just improv and hope that this all works out. No, I'm going to write this joke, prepare it, set it up like how I want it, and then go do it, and then learn from that. Oh, this is what I have to improve. I got to cut that, change this line. This is the tag, and then do it again, and do it again, and do it again. And next thing I know, it's an awesome joke.
Okay, because I'm going to take it in this direction. Because if there's anything that I've realized over the times that I've done my show, is that there is this layer, there's this design, the layout as humans that we kind of pass on from every project that we do, everything that we do in life. So what I'm trying to get to is, where did Adam learn that in order to succeed, you had to be good and you had to be prepared? Just regardless of...
I think that's beyond comedy. I think that's just where I come from, because I come from
That's what I'm trying to get to, yes.
I come from a pretty high-functioning environment where everyone's very successful. But they're successful in other fields that I wasn't interested in, like medicine and law and finance. I'm a Jew. So when I say that, I mean, it's culturally ingrained of hard work and family and that kind of stuff. Education is important. So I was educated, and I was just like, like anything, it's just, you have a business. If you want it to do well, you gotta be good at it. You know, any lawyer gotta be a good doctor, a good lawyer, a good business, or else you don't get paid. So I realized the benefit of whatever I'm gonna do, try to do it well. You know, don't do it half-ass, and then you create yourself a business. Like, I created myself a business out of my business, what I did. My hard work created nothing. Nothing existed before. Now I'm on stage, and that exists. You understand what I'm saying?
Right, yeah.
Yeah.
So that's something that you were doing way before comedy came along.
I don't know. I wasn't really working, to be honest. I didn't have a job before that. I was I was a kid in high school, and then went to college. I had some different jobs. Like, I sold peanuts at the Sky Dome when the Jays won the World Series. I worked for my grandfather's musical store and sold musical instruments in downtown Toronto. But then I got into this business and then started doing okay in my first year. And I made money in that commercial. But all of a sudden, shut up my parents. And then I had like another business I started out of college where I put poop and scoop bags into parks for people that walk their dogs, just like they have them all now. But I did that 20 years ago in Toronto, and then that made me some money, and then I was able to pursue what I wanted. So I had some luck, I had some fortune. Is it luck? Is it skill? I don't know. But I think everything, if you're going to do something right, you got to do it. If you want to do something well, you got to do it right. You know, you don't do it half-assed. You want to be good at it, and that's what I meant about. I see the difference when I see comics go up and they're not prepared on stage. Who wants to see that? I love when someone's prepared, and that it's like a script. Comedy is kind of like a script, like when actors memorize a script, they go and do it the same way every time, and they film it, and eventually they cut it together. Do that same thing with comedy. Script it out, memorize it, and go repeat it and do it in the same way.
How does that...
Every time.
How has that way of thinking worked for you on a daily, everyday Adam Richmond life?
Well, you mean for comedy or...
No, for you. There's got to be more to
Well, comedy's like the way that's the best part. Everything's organized there, and everything is like, I can control it. Life is chaos. Life is all over the place. We have no control. Anything can happen. But on stage, I get to control what happens between the time they introduce my name and the time I say goodnight.
Right.
So that's my time, and it's whatever. So that's also what I do. You can do whatever you want. As long as it's funny, you can do whatever you want. Use your body, use your voice, use your ability, whatever you have. If you can sing, throw that in there. If you can act, throw that in there. If you have a good voice, throw that in there. So I feel like I've got a good cadence, like I got this deep gravitas, so I use voices. So I make sure I do all of a sudden I'm doing like a gay guy. Hey guys, I do the gay guy. I'm a Scottish guy. Right there.
I think it's
I like your Scottish, an angry guy, and then whatever it is. So I adjust, and then that gives I feel my comedy level. So it's not just like anyone can memorize a joke. Knock knock, who's there? Like we can memorize that and go repeat it. But in order to be funny and original, you got to kind of work on your own. Your own voice, Yeah. I have jokes about like being a troublemaker. I was like that kid in class. The teacher used to make me go sit in the hallway to think about what I've done. I always go in the hall for like 10 seconds and come back and go, yeah, I thought about it. That was some funny shit. Come on!
I'm having an image of you as a kid.
And then I got suspended, so don't do that. Yeah.
I'm having that image of you as a kid. I'm just trying to figure out, because as an actor or even as a podcast host, during this time, you're in my space. This is my stage, and even though we're in your apartment, like this is my little space. At any moment, I can say we're done, and I walk out.
Yeah.
But when I walk back out there, I have to confront the rest of the world in its own chaos. How do you?
Well, it's like comedy's my safe space. That's my favorite thing to do. It's the best part about my life is the actual doing it. The business part is difficult. But the doing it part is my favorite. Like I'm energized and feel good. I've been ill or not felt well, and then went on stage and afterwards felt better. Because adrenaline is real. Adrenaline is a powerful thing that we have in our body and needs to be ignited in certain ways. I don't know what people do to get it, but when it's on and you're working it, it's like adrenaline will help you lift a car off your boyfriend if he's, underneath it.
It depends if he signed the insurance papers or not. But yeah, I get your point.
Things like that you just do and you go through it. So
what's a normal day for you off the stage?
When I'm not working or when I'm working?
When you're not working.
When I'm not working, I'm just still hustling. Like today I'm working, today was a podcast. Like tomorrow I got a meeting. I'm working on writing a TV show. So right now I was just updating a breakdown of a television show that I'm trying to create. So I have the pilot, like the breakdown of what the show is going to be, the pitch document, and then the guy that I gave it to, his advice, I want you to write a pilot beats. So I'm writing the beats of the show for like a page and a half. So I'm working on that, making phone calls. Sometimes I haven't been to the gym a lot lately, but I'll go to the gym, work out. If it's nice out, obviously it's raining these last few days, so it's different. It's, this is California, so there's always something to do outside. We'll go to the park. I have a dog part-time, like my girl's dog that I take sometimes, so I'll take him out. And then, tonight I got 2 spots, so it's like I wait for that. I do my stuff probably by 5, 6 o'clock. I chill out, eat some food, relax myself, and then I'm out the door 8 o'clock.
Would you say you're a workaholic?
Yeah, I mean, I am. I am because I don't, it's always a weird question. I like that question actually because workaholic doesn't mean I show up in an office and I sit at a desk for 12 hours, but I always think about my work. I'm always thinking about comedy. I'm always writing it. I got a pen and paper on me at all times. So like, in a sense, I am a workaholic. Doesn't it entail that much work? Like that all the time. Like when I'm working on a weekend and I've got, 4 or 5 shows at a club or something, my days I'll just chill out, do nothing, relax for the night, because I need that energy, and I don't like waking up at 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock in the morning, because when 9 o'clock at night rolls around, I'm tired.
Right.
So I sleep in till like 11, 12 and do that, and then when night comes, I'm ready to do my job. So it's all different for everybody, and even when I'm not working, I'm kind of just in that schedule. People ask me though, they go, how are you such high energy on stage? I'm like, what do you mean how I'm such high energy? I did nothing all day. I waited 3 hours and 15 minutes just to get here. You don't think I could pick it up for a few minutes?
True. Yeah, because most of the folks come to see you after work. After a long
I'm
day.
amazed really how many people don't realize that this is a job.
Yeah.
And you have a job to do. The band didn't show up. The jukebox is broken. We've got a bunch of unruly people here that need to be entertained. Can you do it? If the answer is yes, you're a comedian. And again, you can work towards getting that. But I have all these people all the time talking about, I need to go home and write. You don't need to go home and write. You need to go home and work on your personality, man. This is a performance art, You need to perform. So it doesn't matter how well that joke is written on paper. If you can't deliver it and make it funny in person, it's irrelevant.
Okay, so I'm going to take this in the...
I was going to say, though, that's why my album was called Half These Jokes Don't Work on Paper. Because they don't. I got to do a lot of this. I got to sell it. So that's what I learned so when you ask about what the difference is between me, it's like, I'm an entertainer. I'm working on my physical. I like to think I'm interesting to look at. I don't know for sure, but I like to think that I have a decent enough face or a smile.
Well, you got my attention. So
right. Well, no, but
I mean that seriously.
No, but I mean like to be entertained, to find something about you that's like, I've had people tell me how many facial expressions. I didn't really know I'm very aware I'm doing it. But for a while, I didn't realize even how much I was doing. And then I realized, my face is animated, which is why my 2-year-old niece will laugh at me when I do funny faces in her, so that also works. So the way we are almost naturally with children can be a stand-up thing as well, because people will laugh at their own things. It might not just be the words and the content of what you're saying, but how you're delivering it and how you look.
I'll say this, and it's not blowing smoke up your ass or anything, but there is this really beautiful layer that you have on stage where your facial, your body is doing one thing, but then there's this layer of words behind it that if you get past the physicality of it and you're listening, you're like, okay, I get where you're going. And then there's that real life, what do they call it? The point of view about life, that your POV per se of what the world is like now. So there's these really 3 cool layers that I noticed, especially in the last stuff that I was watching of you, where I was like, okay, so put aside the funny faces and his mannerisms, but if you really listen to what he's saying, it's like, okay, I get it. Then some stuff was like, well, fuck you, Adam Richmond. Yeah. But then behind that, I was like,
good, I like that.
But then behind it, I was like, okay, I get where you're coming from.
Yeah.
I don't agree. So I'm going to come back to the front layer and just make me laugh for a little bit. So
and you don't always have to agree, and I don't want everyone to agree with everything I'm saying, but it's just, you're supposed to be talking about what you're saying, like what's important to you, and hopefully it comes off that I'm I'm telling people that I'm judging you for who you are. I don't care about the color of your skin, your sexuality, or, I don't care about that stuff. But, it's important. Like, I fight back with my words. And I appreciate what you just said. Thank you. And hopefully it's like there's something will find something that they enjoy from the show. And then there's people that will never find anything. And I can't worry about that.
Is there a big difference between Adam Richmond on stage and Adam Richmond?
No, not much. No way. I'm on stage. I'm just me accelerated. I really believe that. And in fact, I brought more of myself to stage.
Does it give you that permission to be just a little extra?
Yeah, the stage does. Well, that's where I say the performance comes in.
Well, because
it's your space, and people are there. They paid money. They want to see you do well. Like they want to be entertained. They want you to win, because if you win, they win.
Because you're one of the few that are around that toy with the political correctness of the world. And I say that because there are people who are definitely so removed from it that you're kind of like, okay, I don't get the jokes. I'm not, it's not relevant to anything that's going around me right now.
Right.
And then there are people that are so want to be in your face and just insult that it kind of turns you off and you're like,
yeah, well, I like to think I walk the line where you're saying I'm talking about it, but I don't go too far. I have even friends that don't agree with me politically, but they like my comedy because they say that it's more like common sense, and I'm just doing stuff that's funny, and I walk that line where it's like you say edgy things, but you do it in a nice way, and then people will pay attention. It's like once someone said to me, he goes, "You say a lot of really mean things in a very nice way."
Yeah, it's like if Archie Bunker had been a comedian.
Yeah.
That would be you.
It makes it palpable. And that's what I'm trying to do. That's where my skill lies, People will not agree with me, but I have the ability to articulate it, and especially even when it comes to like, you should see what happens off stage. That's on stage, so it's fine. I have the liberty to go and do it, but I have people like strangers or something that think nowadays that they can say whatever they want. This new world we've created where everyone can say whatever they want to somebody, but people don't realize, like, I'm really kind. I'm really nice to people. So it's like those, pick your battles, fight the fights worth fighting. Don't confuse kindness with weakness. Speak softly and carry a big stick are 4 of my favorites. So, and the one about, like, don't necessarily speak softly, but I'm kind and I treat people well. And then I switch. If you switch, I switch faster than you because I don't have any patience for it. And what I like to think I am in a way, which is, I almost like I'm a bully to bullies.
That's cool.
Does that make sense?
Yes.
I don't like bullies. I don't bully, but I can bully. I don't like people that treat. So I think there's a lot of kind people, and there's actually the majority of the world's kind. We have this thing that everyone's kind of an asshole now with like the internet,
right.
The internet, which is not true, and everyone's also weak and offended all the time, which is also not true. But we let these people have a voice. That's the whole problem. We can talk about that for hours, but that's my whole problem with the internet is giving everybody a voice, which is, and we're like, oh, that's such a good thing. Well, it's a good thing about the internet. It's giving everybody a voice. What's wrong with the internet is that it's given everybody a voice, yeah. And we don't need to hear from them. So coming back to my point, I think a lot of people are very kind and they treat the world well, and then they run into this person that's an asshole and treats them well, treats them like shit, and goes after them and is bully to them, and they're so nice that they don't really have a defense mechanism for that, and then this person takes advantage. Cut to enter me, and I'm like, I'll be kind, and then if someone shows me, then they're like, oh, this guy's kind, I'll be like rude to him. They don't know. Like, be careful. You just kick the sleeping lion because they are not prepared for how far I can go off on them. And sort of even my confidence on stage. If I'm confident on stage and talk to a room of 200 people and say this shit, you don't think I can say it to you off stage, in person, at the bank machine, Because I see some people like being rude all the time to each other. So I feel like that's my place is like, that's kind of where I stand.
Defender of the people.
Yeah, almost like defender of the weak. I relate to certain characters, like in movies, like, if you want to know the truth, like I relate to Bruce Willis in Die Hard.
Yeah.
Like the guy, the Nakatomi Tower, John McClane in the Nakatomi Tower.
Yeah.
Who's like, doesn't always have everything together, has got some problems with his relationships, maybe drinks too much, maybe can't keep his job, but when the shit push comes to shove, this guy saves the day. Kicks the door down, shoots the terrorist, throws the girl over his shoulder, and saves the day, Like that kind of
CIA.
character. Yeah, a little bit. And then there's like the Vince Vaughn type of character, like Vince Vaughn in Dodgeball. Do you remember that kind of character? He's kind of like the leader of the ragtag bunch. Yeah. You know, and I kind of feel like that, like, cause I can dine with kings and dance with jesters. I feel like I can walk those lines.
Where does that come from?
It comes from where I came from and then where I went.
Okay.
So it comes from the fact that I come from a pretty upper middle class environment where everyone's a little bit more she, and all the people go to the same schools and the same camps and everyone's kind of got money, and I didn't love it, you know? I wasn't happy there. I didn't want to do that. So I went out of that environment and traveled around the world and, rolled at different speeds, different environments, and would go to like places that like weren't upper middle class, like would be in cities that weren't as developed, or you know what I mean? Like just travel to so many different places that I was like, oh, I can do all things. I can relate to them and I can relate to them. You know, if I need to go to a nice dinner and dress up and be all she and like pretend like we're doing a charity or something, I can do that too. But if I need to go, have some cervezas on a porch with some people that are, in my neighborhood that are just like, blue collar workers, I can do that too. I can rub elbows with everybody.
I believe that, and this is in no offense to anybody, but I believe that there is a select group of people, and I will humbly admit to that we had it okay, and we're like, okay, this is good. And somehow along the line, there was the detour, and we're like, that's the road less traveled. I'm going to go that road and see what I find.
Right. Well, you need to find yourself. And listen, I made mistakes by trusting my mistakes came from trusting the wrong people. Like being like, not everybody needs a piece of you. Like I want everybody to like me, but like, I don't care if you don't. Like, I hope you do, but I don't care if you don't, And my thing was for a while was like trying to make everybody happy or be friends with everybody, and then realize, oh, not everyone's going to like you, and you can't be friends with everybody because some people don't have the best intentions for you.
Right.
So,
but those are lessons learned.
They're lessons. They're hard lessons. They're tough lessons.
I wouldn't be who I am now at 48 with.
You're 48. No one's 48. Good for you.
Thank you. With everything.
Gay don't crack, baby.
Moisturized, protein lotion.
I don't want to know what you use for moisturizer, sir.
I was being really deep right now there.
No, I know. That's what I do. I take deep moments and then
how dare you
make them light.
The show is over. But yeah, I started drinking when I was 15, doing drugs when I was 20, sobered up when I was 36, 37. But I would not be who I am now and be able to do what I do had I not taken that nasty detour.
Yeah, I mean, you do learn lessons. It's like you only learn when you fail. Same in stand-up. Like, you learn the most when you go up and bomb, and then you're like, ooh, shit, I don't want that to happen again, so I'm going to do whatever it takes to not do that. But I guess it was just, comedy, people want something from you, too. So you just got to be careful. That's all. Now I'm just more careful with who I hang out with, I've brought it more organic. Like, I still have a lot of friends, and I know a lot of people, and I have people from Toronto where I'm from and people here, but I don't know, not everybody deserves a piece of you, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Not everybody gets a part of you. So there was, and the idea that like when you want to be famous, you want to give to everybody and and I see that part, like part of me like gets it. I don't want fame because I need that adoration. I just want to be validated that I'm really good at what I do, and that comes with that,
I think that's the word that.
Like it's competition.
The blur line.
Are you a sports fan?
No.
Okay, well, like I said in sports, like it's like I just want if you're good, you play. That's all. I just want to be acknowledged as like a really good player. If you put me in a battle royal of comics in a ring, and we all got tossed out when you couldn't handle it, I'd be there towards the end.
Yeah. But I've been an advocate, and this makes sense on my end this way. I've been an HIV advocate for 18 years. I've been in there. I've talked to people. I may not have the medical degree.
No, but if you know what you know, then you know what you're talking about. So then you're an authority on something.
Exactly. And now 18 years later, I'm being validated for the information I have.
Yeah.
They've overlooked the fact that, he doesn't have a title.
Right. That's important. And sports to me is always the best analogy, whether you like it or not. Sports is a meritocracy. If you're not good, you don't play. That's it. No one's like, doesn't matter your color, your gender, like if you're not good, you don't play. And if you're awesome and you're an asshole, nobody cares either. Like, if you can hit that ball over the fence or, hit that free throw, you're playing.
Was there a moment in your career, and I'm sure, the moment in your career where you were like, okay, I belong here? Or were you always that confident?
I think it was within the first few years you get to that point. You know, you just get validated. Validation comes, I guess, from work, from the job. Even when I moved to Hollywood and people were responding well to me, and it would get in clubs, and then respect is a real currency. You know, I really believe that. Like, it's not a real currency, but it's a currency.
No, yeah.
So you can ride that. So I get a lot of respect from my peers. A lot of respect from people that are like are above me, and then they talk to me like respectfully. And I've had moments like that where they sort of adhere to me. Like I spoke to Marlon Wayans once. We did a show together. He saw me do comedy, and then he's Marlon Wayans,
right? And
he's famous and he's super talented, but wasn't a great stand-up at the time. I haven't seen him. He's very good now, and if he hears this, just let you know, I love Marlon. I think super talented.
Come on the show.
But he worked. He was just starting stand-up itself. He was always funny and had a comedic family, but he got into it. And he was talking about, I was outside with a few people, and he said something to a bunch of people. He's like, yeah, man, I just got to work hard, and I want to get good at stand-up. I want to be like as good as this guy. And he points to me. He's like, so one day I'll be as good as this guy. And I'm like, thank you. You know, what a nice thing to say. So, like, when Marlon Wayans is saying something like that to you, it means like, oh, that guy who's been in comedy all his life with his entire family,
right,
adheres to me as the authority in this small circle, then I'm doing something right, you know?
I was at I do readings, I do Reiki, I'm a Reiki master, I've been for a couple of years, but I was at a party, and the lady who was a party is very highly regarded in the craft. She came and sat up with me and said, I want a reading from you, can you do it?
That's cool.
And I was like, you want to sit with me. Like, I'm willing to pay money for you. And then all her friends, they were like, oh, me next. And I was like, we drove home, and I actually did not fit in my car because my ego was like, fuck yeah. Like, yeah. I get
that stuff is important.
That's my sports arena. That's where I go to, like.
I was talking to John Mayer, you know, John, and who's now leading my favorite band, which is the irony of that, but he was in the hall of the Improv, and I knew he was getting into comedy, and he liked comedy, and I was like, that's why I always relate to music. I was inspired by music to become a comedian. I still like look at comedy like rock and roll. Like, here's the show, time to give a show. So he was a big fan of comedy. I got his process of writing was similar to my joke writing, and at some point, like, I was making him laugh, and he goes, "Man, I'd love to be inside your head." I'm like, "Thank you, John Mayer." You know, what a great thing to say. I have a quote from Bill Maher, who just told me I was a really funny guy. I was like, "You're a really funny guy. Really funny."
Well, I'm pretty...
I was like, that's nice.
Again, not to blow smoke up your ass, but I've been working really hard. I've been on this for 7 years, working really hard to get bigger and bigger names on my show. And you were, when I was like, when I told my boyfriend, we were both...
Well, I didn't think I'm a bigger name. I wish I was bigger, but thank you.
We were both giddy. I was like, I'm going to go see Adam Richmond. So you... I guess from a fan and an admirer, you're there. You're uber cool.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Is there ever any doubt in your head that you're there? Do you ever doubt?
I think I never doubt my skills. I just struggle and I doubt the business itself, you know?
Okay.
And that's just, all of us do, you know? Because coming back to the sports analogy, it's not merit-based, you know? It should be. But it's not. So I only doubt my place, especially, you know, in this last few years when it's become so much of types, you know. So it's just like, you should just be able to, if you're really good at it, there should be room for you, and not like, oh, we need a transgender Muslim midget.
I think I know one.
Yeah.
Of course.
Well, I do a whole big like, he's a young, ambitious transgender Muslim midget. This summer, Mohammed Sheehy Smalls is MacGyver.
Yeah, that would be the Netflix version.
Right, but that's it. Like MacGyver's not allowed to be white anymore. It's like, that's what's uncool. Like, and everything's making all these movies and turning, these are some of my material. They're making all these movies female-based, like Ghostbusters, all women. Ocean's 8, all women. It's like, why don't you change all our iconic figures and turn them into women? Star Wars, that could be different. Chewbacca, why is he a guy? Turn him into a girl. Make him Chewbacca. He's got pink barrettes and braids. It's like, hey,
I'm getting
Han Solo.
Like a big Sharpay with ponytails and bows. Yeah.
Which is fine. Like, that's also another thing. That's another thing I'll tell you about culture. Like when I talk about learning, like even when you asked me where I came from and why I apply those values to what I'm doing that works. Like another thing that was cultural, like, this is kind of off topic, but we could just kind of make it funny is like all this new feminism, the rise of feminism and women feel like they need to be empowered. Like, sorry, but come from a Jewish family. Like it's not a thing. Right. That women aren't powerful.
Right.
It's not a thing that women are less than me. So for you, all of a sudden, now, me in my 40s, you're now coming at me like, oh, you should know that women are equal. Like, duh. You know?
I agree.
Duh. And then go, the feminism, rant about feminism, go, where are my feminists to that? And they cheer, I go fuck yourself. You know, like, what if I told you it was a masculinist? That word doesn't even exist. Yeah. Masculinist. And I go, and there's a ride on it. And I go, ladies, you're not our equals. You are far fucking superior. Like any human being that can drop another human being through a slit this big, that's a man shit. You know, but my main joke is all of a sudden there's these movements and movies about female empowerment. Female empowerment? Can somebody please tell me when you lost your power? Because I'm from a family of 13 Jewish women and I've been fighting for my equality all my life. So that's an example of like someone, like what you were saying before of like, ooh, I don't know about this. Ooh, I'm gonna listen. You know, so I like that. It was like, oh no, wait, I agree with that. Like, no, that's kind of true too. Oh, no, actually, what can I say about that? He's really kind of fair, you know, so, and I acknowledge, and then I reveal I have 5 sisters and 2 mothers, aunts, cousins, you know, so it's like, oh, he's sort of allowed to say that because he's been through it. And if he's telling you that's his experience, who are we to say it's not, you know, especially as long as it's funny, right? Like it is funny and I'm kind of laughing with you, but it's this push, it's this over pushing of things. So now in comedy, it's like this overdoing of females. There has to be 2 women on every show. And I'm not saying they shouldn't be on a show. If you're good, absolutely. But you shouldn't be on the show just because you're a woman and they need a certain woman. Like, and I see it all the time. And also, if truth be told, this is a business that kind of draws more men than women just by math and statistics alone, you know? So if this business draws 80% men, then 80% of the jobs should go to the men.
Right.
You know, it should be that 80% is all men and they only get 50% of the jobs. So that to me is like.
But I totally, now that you brought up the female empowerment thing, I was on a kind of a rant with these people. There's this artist, and I don't remember her name, and I'm not gonna give her any credit, but there's this artist, and she took all these iconic movie posters, like James Dean in the car and Giant, made them women, and he took all the iconic, and she was like, it's about time we made women the heroes. So I posted a picture of me and my mom, about 2 years ago. My mom is 89 now, has Alzheimer's, and she is my hero. And I'm like,
she's a strong woman.
And I put that on and I go, I don't need you to tell me, because a man could not have done the job that my mom did. She would not have, a man could not have
also,
done that
Daniel,
job.
even in the entertainment business, when have women not been like represented in movies as unpowerful? Like Sigourney Weaver and Aliens and Princess Leia and all the Star Wars movies.
Right.
Everything, the girl, Mila Jovovich has done. She's played Joan of Arc. She was in, Sixth Sense. Fifth Element.
Yes.
The Fifth Element.
Yes.
She was in that.
Talking about,
and then you go back, like I Love Lucy and Carol Burnett. Like, there's tons of them. So where did this go on that this is like, so it kind of happened in the last few years and it was almost like this pushing down of like what's really happened and be like, oh, we need even more. And it's like, yeah, okay. But you know what? I don't really believe that Scarlett Johansson can beat up the Incredible Hulk. Sorry. It's just me. I don't believe, first of all, anyone can be the Incredible Hulk, but certainly not a 5'3", you know, little adorable Jewish chick. You know, but they make it, and that's fine. I'm okay with that. But that's what Sigourney Weaver did. That's what like all these characters did in all these movies. So it just wasn't a thing. Even our sitcoms with powerful women. So it's like I don't know where this came from. And then I realized, it came from the fact that there's many cultures that don't feel that way and repress women. I mean, that's a whole other conversation. But like
we were having a similar talk.
And you know, as a Catholic, by the way, Catholicism can repress women. So does being Muslim in many senses repress women, you know?
My point was that in the Latino community, we have the macho, the machismo, and the man comes home and he handles everything but honestly, if you really go deep in the home, The mom's the one that's doing everything.
Yeah, she holds it together, takes care of the kids.
My mom was the permission giver. Yeah. She was the one that smacked us. My dad was the fear word. I'm going to tell your dad. But I honestly knew that my dad was just going to like ground me, like, okay, cool. But the one that was really smacking me around was my mom. Right. And she raised me. Like, my dad was just there for show. So he's the window. He's out in the window looking pretty. Yeah. But my mom's in the inside hustling.
And that's cultural, right? So exactly. Even I spoke to other cultures, other people, like my Italian friend, like it's also the same thing. Like it's not like women were weak in Italian families. So I feel bad. And then I talk to people, go, well, I feel bad that you grew up in an environment that didn't nurture you and pat you on the back and tell you you're awesome. Because that's something I didn't know. I'll be honest. I was ignorant to that, to knowing that people feel that way. So I want to be clear, like, okay, well, I'm sorry you felt that way. Let's be clear that not everybody feels that way. And when you group it, so that's even the feminists, like, they group it that all females together, like when you pit men against women, that's a bad thing. Don't do that. Yes. This isn't gender specific. Even the stuff like the Me Too movement, like, I know plenty of women that have done horrible things. I know for sure men should not be assaulting women, and I get it, and if that, especially if they're abusing their power for sex, but let's be honest. That's how men have been getting sex forever. We all abuse our power, you know? Yeah. You could be a doctor with a patient. You could be a bartender with the person getting the drink. Like, it's like girls want the comedian up on stage, the athlete with 50 girls waiting outside the dressing room lined up for this. So no one talks about that. Amidst all this is no women talking about their behavior and the other side of it. So it's not gender specific is my point. Evil's not gender specific. Yeah, there are good people and bad people. There's definitely bad men. There's also bad women. You don't get a free pass. So that's where it jumped the shark for me, the movement, and the femalization has jumped the shark. It's like, okay, well, let's not get past the roles. Like, if there's a fire burning here, chances are there are going to be 98% males in the firemen that are going to come break through the door and carry us down. Why? Because if you pass out right here, I can throw you over my shoulder and take you down those stairs. Can my girlfriend? No fucking way. So it becomes about, let's just not battle against our physical. Listen, if men could have babies, we'd have babies, you know?
Probably couldn't, but I probably wouldn't. But
you know what I mean? Like, it's just like, so when you go away from our biological nature, we're in a lot of trouble. And
you're right. I agree with you.
That's what's going on.
I was born in 1970, so through the 70s, it was reruns of Lucy, Carol Burnett, Cher, which, I mean, she's still a strong woman.
Totally.
All those Wonder Woman on TV.
Wonder Woman on
Bionic
TV. 100%.
Woman.
100%.
So watching all that, and then watching my mom,
so when did it happen? I don't think it's ever stopped, but all of a sudden now they're talking about women not being represented in movies and certain things. Like every movie's got a strong male, it's got a female. Like so I don't really know.
Most of what I know about relationships is because of the way my mom was with my dad. Especially as a gay man. My mom told me early on, if you're going to be gay and you're dating men, then there's things you need to know.
Yeah, about men, exactly. She could totally teach you about that.
My mom didn't drink, but one night we sat down and played cards. It had rum and cokes, and we had this open conversation about tops and bottoms and gays and the way I was going to be treated. And she's like, if you want to keep a man at home and happy, this is what you need to do. And she taught me to iron and clean and do laundry. And I was like, why do I need to? And she's like, because you're going to have a man. Yeah. And you need to know how to.
And is that the dynamic in your relation now? Like, is he more manly and you're more?
No, I'd like to say that.
Because I think even that is not true. Like, they make it seem like there's always like a bottom and a top type thing.
We definitely.
Yeah. But I have spoken to many of my gay friends. Like, if you're gay, like, you're still a dude. Mm-hmm. You're still a man first. Like, you still want to have sex and you want to eat and you want to be on the couch and not talk to anybody.
Not necessarily at the same time, but it's
right. But you know what I mean? Like but you don't have the same, all the same emotions and not everything is connected to something emotionally. And that's what I've learned about, my gay friends. Like, they're just people. But actually, I even talk about this. I don't like the grouping of the LGBTQRXTUVWX. Like, there's too many letters. And I've actually spoken to a few of my gay friends. Like, why are you grouped with trans people? That's not the same. Right. It's not, you relate to way more a heterosexual man than a trans person. You know, I don't know specifically you, but I feel like gay is understandable. I like my same sex. Straight's understandable. I like opposite sex. Trans is like, it's a lot of mixes in there. And again, do what you want. I'm just talking about the making them group together. Because listen, I'll say this out loud, and I'll say it any time of the fucking day. I'm 44. I have yet to meet a down to earth transgender person. Sorry. That's just me. I live in West Hollywood. There are tons of guys around here, and they are out of their fucking minds.
True.
And I'm open to it. Maybe I've met somebody that had a conversation with it, but like something always happens, and I don't even care. I don't even care. I only care because everyone's talking about it like everyone's equal and everyone's awesome and everyone's the same. No, we're not the same. We're different. Actually, and if you start treating people according to their differences, we're all much better.
I agree with that.
Acknowledging differences.
I agree with that.
And not saying, and any human, no human's got a more right than anybody else. That's exactly how I feel. If we're on an airplane and we're up in the air and there's 100 people and there's only 50 parachutes, we draw straws to see who gets it, you know? Nobody deserves it more than anybody else.
Right.
This guy doesn't deserve to get it because he's a millionaire, and this guy doesn't deserve because he's homeless. Like, a human life has value no matter what. That's what I think. But sometimes we're down here on Earth and there's a guy with a starter's pistol and he goes, on your mark, get set, go, and some people take off running and some people do nothing. That I just believe myself, that the people that take off running and do something with their life deserve more than the people who don't.
I will highlight on the fact that I've been in groups where I am the only Hispanic guy or the only gay guy in the group, and I will hear the leaders or whoever's, everybody's the same, and I'm like, no.
So you agree with us? Like, we're the same. Everyone deserves a chance at life the same.
We all have the same rights, but
we're not the same biologically.
Yeah.
We have literally differences biologically. And when you start comparing, like saying women are just as good as men, just as good, yes, but are they physically superior? No. Every girl I know, I could beat up. Maybe one or two. But you know what I mean? Like, so there's something about muscles. But every guy I know also is not the most connected emotionally. Like, and no guy can have a baby. So it's something happens. Like if biologically we could do the same things, then we wouldn't be having these conversations, which I think are kind of stupid.
And that's, I think it just comes with experience, because I've learned a lot from doing this show and meeting people. I mean, I've met over 200 people in 7 years talking. So I know that we all have the same rights. Yes. We're all Americans or citizens or residents. Yes. But I will not have a conversation with you and treat you the same as somebody else, because you're coming from different backgrounds.
Yeah. And there's some generalizations we can make.
Yeah.
When we're talking in stereotypes, but once you're dealing with an individual one-on-one, that goes out the window. Yeah. You know, you better start treating them like an individual at that point. Assuming, like, I can't assume that you're a guy and you don't like sports. I don't care that you don't like sports. But I think most guys I know like sports. So it's like, I should assume that every dude I meet likes sports. No.
I do like hockey,
That's
though.
stupid.
I like hockey.
Well,
but I like hockey because they're fights. And like, you don't really have to follow the game. Just follow the fight. Yeah.
Well, I got a stick in my closet behind you.
I was going to say stick up my ass. No, I do not have a stick up my ass right now.
Well, I'm Canadian, so we were born on skates.
I like doing my interviews stick free, but I'll have to check out your stick.
Shh. Don't tell your boyfriend.
I'm going to go in his closet and look at his stick.
Hey, maybe tonight's the night. You're only gay if you fuck back.
You're not gay if you say no. Get letters on this one.
Good. Let them get letters on what? Let them come.
All right. So we're down towards the end of the show. This is the point where I ask my guests to share some words of wisdom with my listeners. So, Adam Richmond, what words of wisdom would you like to share?
What words of wisdom? I mean, when it comes to comedy, I think I've said actually a lot in this. What I think, if when it comes to comedy, my words of wisdom: if you want to be good, work at it. You know, like everything else, you got to work hard at being good at it. You know, so that's my advice. Not just like your type, or not just showing up and just standing there. Like, you know, like everything else. If you want to be good at something, you work hard at it. But like I think almost. If you want to be somebody, you got to be prepared to deal with a bunch of nobodies that don't want you to be anybody. And that's a little nugget that I wrote down in the last few months. And it's not to be depressing. It's to be aware, you know, because that's what I've learned. So, and especially with the internet, with all these people and social justice warriors that aren't doing anything and then feel they can comment, and we give them credo because they've sent out a tweet. My biggest problem with the world, so forget about that. But I'm mostly positive. I like to think I'm positive, but like, it's important to just be aware that not everybody wants the best for you, and don't be naive to that, and then coming back to some of the advice I said in the middle that I didn't even know I was going to talk about, but pick your battles, fight the fights worth fighting, speak softly, carry a big stick, and don't confuse kindness with weakness.
Always carry a big stick.
Yeah, I like the big stick, and that's what I do when it comes to like the bullying thing. Like, I'm going to be so sweet. I'm like, I treat people really well. Like, I have a saying which is like, if you think I'm sweet and fantastic, it's because you're sweet and fantastic. And if you think I'm an asshole, it's because you're a fucking asshole.
You're a mirror.
And I do like that. And I know that about myself. I'm so like that energetically, but I don't do it. Like, now, I used to be like, give people, now it's like, no, like, this guy. Some guy was just reversing out of a parking spot, and he was coming in, and then he got mad at me, started yelling at me because they didn't let him in first. It's like, there's no reason. I was just going back in, and I saw this guy yelling, and he's just yelling at me, and most people would just drive away. But I'm like, I need to know. And I just opened the window. Excuse me, sir, what's the problem? He's like, yo, you're fighting. Oh, I guess you're fighting with everybody. Like, I'm fighting with everybody. Look what you're doing. Like, clearly you're not mad at me. You're mad at somebody else. He's like, fuck you. I'm like, oh, fuck you. Fuck you. And then I was laughing when I was doing it, because like, what gives this guy the right?
Yeah.
Like, if we were on the street, if I was out of my car walking by, he wouldn't say that to me if I was walking by, but he's protected. So it's just like, that was an example. And I don't want to, and I should just drive away, and just, right. But that's who I am. But part of me feels like, you know what? I'm tired of that.
I think I'm warming up to that by the time I turn 50.
I'm a little tired of it.
I'm going to be that guy and be like,
also, especially, I don't even get into it. I stopped getting into it with people on Facebook and fighting with them, disagreeing, but sometimes I just can't not say anything. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. You fucking said something that I don't agree with at all. And everyone's like, oh, you're right. You're right. No, fuck you. You're wrong. And I'm going to say that because, you know what? Because everyone else is not saying it. Now we have all these people agreeing with you. And I've had people that delete me or hide me or unfriend me because they don't like what I'm saying. That is dangerous. Yeah. You know what I mean? If you can't have a dialogue with somebody about things that are different,
There's one thing that I've learned over the last 3 years after cancer was that a positive message, it's not always given with a smile.
Yeah.
And like I said about your comedy, if I pull the layers apart, I can tell where it is. In my readings with my clients, whenever something is going to come out of my mouth that is not polite, it always is like, I'm going to say this with love, but you suck.
Yeah.
Like, you can't be the only one right in a room of 20 people. Like, that is not possible.
Yeah.
So, I get that. Okay, next question.
And I don't need to be right. I just I'm absolutely fine if you think a certain way, but if you start affecting other people, if you are militant about your decisions and you think that everyone's going to agree with you when it's like, you're clearly wrong, then I got to step in somewhere. That's also where the bullying of bullies comes in. Like, you can't push me to agree with what you agree. I don't agree with it. I'm not going to change my mind. We can agree to disagree. We could not be friends, but no way. I'm going to stand my ground. And I'm going to defend the defenseless.
And again, I believe that comes from a life of experience and having actually lived your life to the fullest.
And I've had mostly a good time. I'm still having a good time. I've made some mistakes, so I'm not exactly where I want to be, but like, I'm still on the path, and I can still do it, and I'm still, have a day to a podcast with you, which has been fun, and like, so,
A nice rainy day in West Hollywood.
Yeah.
So the next question, in the book of your life, what's the first sentence?
Man, this guy's funny.
That's pretty good.
I mean,
you don't have to explain it.
Yeah, I don't even know. That one I'd like to think about and then maybe come to a better answer, because there's probably something. But you know what? Off the top of my head, it's like, or man, this guy's funny and he's real and he's himself and he's not pretending to be anything else. And people, like I said, people will love me, hate me for the exact same reason. People love me because I'm brave and loud and in your face and obnoxious, and people hate me because I'm brave and loud and in your face and obnoxious.
Well, that's why I'm here.
Right, but that's how you figure out who your people are and who your friends are and who you're going to work with, that kind of stuff, you know?
So the next question, if you had to name this episode, what title would you give it?
Big Stick.
That's something new I'm trying this year.
Yeah, because we talked about hockey stick, we talked about speaking softly with a big stick, and maybe I'm a big stick.
Where can people find you?
Website, Adam Richmond Comedy. You can always find me on there. Twitter is Richmond Comedy. I'm on Facebook. Got a fan page with Adam Richmond fans. So Google me. All that stuff will come up. But definitely check out my website. That's what I always put like some new content. I try to not oversaturate it with new stuff. Like I'll put a new video and then leave that for a while, and then I don't need to update. I want people to come see me live and see the update. So if they see something that's like a year old, I'm fine with that. Yeah. You know, because I don't want to put everything I have online.
Never give it all away.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, just for people, when I was walking up to find your apartment, I was kind of lost, and I thought this was hilarious because I heard a whistle and like a good little whore. I turned around, I was like, was that for me?
And it was for you.
And it was for me. I was like, well, thank you, Adam Richmond. So I can honestly say that Adam Richmond whistled me while I was walking in West Hollywood.
Yeah.
And invited me to his apartment.
Yeah.
That will forever go down in history.
That will go down. Well, with this podcast, it has some context. Other than that,
now we were in the pre-interview. You want to launch your own podcast?
Yeah, I'm going to be starting to do something like that.
Any ideas of what direction you want to go in?
I mean, everything that I talk about is similar to that. Like something like Unoffended. You know, where we just kind of talk about the stuff that's going on. I was thinking
like
about
social commentary.
Yeah, like coming either called The Past Few Days, Unoffended. I kind of talk about what's going on politically, and then I'll have like an interview like this maybe for the last. I'll probably do like a 30-minute segment, then do like an intro, 10 to 15 minutes of me just talking about what's going on, and then interview somebody, and definitely have people that some I agree with, some I don't agree with.
Yeah.
And
please let us know when that comes out.
Yeah, for sure. I would love to.
For those of you that have been following along, Adam Richmond is my guest today. Thank you so much for accepting.
Daniel, thank you for having me. This was good. I love these things. I love real conversations. You might have to give me a Reiki read after this.
I will do a reading. I brought my cards. Most of my guests get readings and or a session afterwards. Okay. Not everybody's open to them. I have encountered some people who are against it. And I'm like, well, then I'll just give you a hand job. I'm sorry, I don't have anything else to give you. They run.
Really wet.
They try to run.
Just don't look me in the eyes. Don't look me in the eyes.
No. I tell them if you say no in the beginning, it's not gay. Good thing my boyfriend doesn't listen to my shows. He'd be like, what are you doing on this podcast? I do not give hand jobs to my guests. Do not get excited. All of a sudden I get like 100 emails from.
I didn't give hand jobs after the show.
I want to be on your show. For those who are listening, thank you for following. Thank you, Mr. Moyers, for all your help and support. Thank you, sir. Go check me out. Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, and Instagram. We got new stuff coming out. Under Little Mix Up Productions, you'll find the cast for the pilot that we're shooting for my talk show. It's finally coming together. So by the time this airs, we've already shot the pilot and maybe put it out there for you guys to review. So we're looking forward to that. More interesting stuff coming with the advocacy page. So go check out HIV Positive Live, which has a lot of the new things coming up with Johnson Pharmaceuticals and the Positively Fearless crew. So go check that out too. For now, thank you, Adam.
Thank you, Daniel. Thanks for having me.
Thanks, everybody. This is Daniel Garza saying, hey, put it together.
Hey, later.
This is how I put it together.
This is how I put it together.
This is how I put it together.
Subscribe to Put It Together on iTunes, Stitcher, and at abnormalentertainment.com/putittogether. Find Put It Together on Facebook and tweet Daniel at Lil Messican, LILMESICAN. And for more podcasts, comics, books, movies, and more, head to abnormalentertainment.com.
You've been listening to the Abnormal Entertainment Network.